And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome very much to this very wonderful day today. 27 degrees and mostly sunny in Brisbane. Well, it's a wonderful day out here today. We will talk about a few things, but I'd also like to talk about the Vishnu Maya Mandir and its Sthapna Divas, the 6th one happening tomorrow. So we will talk about that in a minute as well. But right now, let's get into the news segment for today, and let's see what's making news. Well, ISX ends a week at 9-month high, and cost of essentials are surging.
The local share market is on a roll, as it's been going up nearly every day since the year began. The All Ords is now at its highest level since April last year. It made a tiny gain today of around 0.2%, but it's been a pretty strong week, with the index jumping 1.7%. Gold miners were some of today's best performers, along with Whitehaven Coal and Pilbara Minerals, after both companies gave strong trading updates. But not doing so strongly is the arts sector, which suffered a 6.5% plunge in turnover, as consumers are cutting back their spending on discretionary activities like watching a show at the theatre. But luckily for retailers, people couldn't resist the Black Friday sales, or the need to fix their broken pipes or whatever needed repairs. Now, generally, we tend to spend a lot when we're feeling confident, but now consumers are still spending big, even though they're feeling as confident as they were during the GFC. Much of this has to do with the surging cost of essentials like food, which you really have no choice but to keep paying for. Now, overseas, it was a bad day for US and European markets, but Asian stocks did well, especially in Hong Kong. And there was also a big jump in gold and oil prices ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday. As for the Aussie dollar, it's risen back above 69 US cents. And that's finance.
And thank you very much for that finance update. Well, keeping in the line with all of those, right now we know when in Australia we are facing a labour shortage, Google, on the other hand, has set 12,000 jobs worldwide. Where are we headed to?
Google made an announcement that it's shedding 12,000 workers. So that's 6% of its workforce, which is a really significant number. And the CEO of Google says it's because of the changed economic reality. So times have changed compared to 2 years ago. So when we wind the clock back at the height of COVID, Google went on a big hiring spree. They hired 70,000 workers as their profits surged, as more people were forced to stay home and surf the internet to pass time and cure their boredom. So yeah, that netted them a lot of money. But now interest rates are much higher than what they used to be because of high inflation. So people are now cutting back their spending and watching their pennies. So that's not conducive to tech companies making mega profits. So hence the necessity for these job cuts. Now, yeah, as you said, Google is the latest in a long line of companies to do so. So the underlying concern is they believe that the US economy might fall into recession later this year because of how aggressive the central bank in America has been lifting interest rates. Now, the first sign of things not being quite right was a few days ago when Google said that it would be deferring a portion of its staff bonuses. So normally in January, as a Google employee, you get paid your full bonus. But then the announcement a few days ago is that they get 80% bonus now and the rest in March. So it shows they're a little bit worried about money. But look, they're still a massive tech company earning mega bucks. Now, as for these job cuts, they'll immediately impact Google's US employees. Now, these are global cuts. Workers will be shed from Google's offices all across the world, but they'll be happening slower, these international Google workers, because Google needs to look into the local laws and practices to make sure they're doing the right thing. And it'll affect all sorts of divisions too, like recruitment, corporate, engineering, just to name a few.
And you mentioned there, David, that it's not just Google. So I guess how does their announcement of job cuts compare to some of the other big tech giants?
Well, Dan, I'd say it's quite up there, as this handy chart will summarise. So you can see that Amazon also shed staff in recent days, and they shed even more. So the tech giant online retailer shed 18,000 workers in recent days. And other companies to have made massive job cuts are Meta, also known as Facebook. They cut 11,000 workers. Microsoft also cut 11,000 workers. Now, you see a reference to Alphabet there, so that's the parent company of Google. I just say Google because that's what more people know it as. Now, other companies I didn't include in the list, like Twitter, they have shed thousands of staff as well since Elon Musk took over as CEO. Anywhere down 50 to 80% of headcount. Hewlett-Packard, the printing company, also shed 6,000 staff. So it's estimated that this month alone, 48,000 jobs have been cut in the US tech sector. And since in the past 12 months, about nearly 200,000 jobs have been lost there, especially in the cryptocurrency space, which is really just bleeding cash. So that's also considered tech. Now, the overall investors were pretty happy, I should say, about the job cuts, as this chart shows how Google's share price performed. So after announcing those 12,000 job cuts, its share price jumped more than 5%. But it's just a tiny blip in the grand scheme of things, because in the past 12 months, Google, its share price has plunged by about 25%, which is a predicament shared by all tech companies. As interest rates go up, the cost of money increases, their profits come under increasing pressure. So that partly explains why these job cuts need to happen. But on the plus side, I guess anyone who's affected by the job cuts, working for Google, very reputable employer, so they probably will find it easy relatively to get tech jobs maybe at smaller firms.
Yeah. Well, there you are, the 12,000 job cuts by Google. But when you look at the report, it's not only Google, that's Facebook, Amazon, and Twitter. They're all cutting. But if you add up those numbers like 10,000, 11,000, and if you add all those up, there's a massive number of people who will be losing their jobs. Well, this is the sign of the times. Well, right, and sign of the times is also New Zealand, where we're going to see a change of Prime Minister. Who's taking on the reins?
Well, what we understand is in the days after Jacinda Ardern resigned, and in fact the hours, it was always going to be a battle to see if it was going to be Chris Hipkins or Grant Robertson, who is the deputy Prime Minister at the moment and the Finance Minister. But Jacinda Ardern revealed that Grant Robertson wasn't standing for that position, so it essentially opened it up for Chris Hipkins. Now, the last thing that the New Zealand Labour Party wanted was a big internal struggle for leadership. They've had those in the past, and they've turned out really badly for the party. They've looked at the opposition National Party over here and how that's played out as well. It's been really badly, and it just leads to them bleeding votes. So as I understand it, they shored up support for Hipkins behind the scenes before they put the nominations forward. And because he's the only nominee, it means that after caucus affirms him tomorrow, it means that he will be the next Prime Minister.
We know that he is part of Ardern's inner circle. We know that he's a trusted colleague. He's also a very seasoned politician as well. What can you tell us about Chris Hipkins, the man himself?
Well, the man himself has been a life member of the Labour Party. He was involved in student unions. He worked for Parliament. He worked for former in the government of former Prime Minister Helen Clark. And he's known Jacinda Ardern for years. In fact, there's photos of both of them when they were in their early 20s. So he's been around for a long time. Within this form of government, he is seen as what's called a Mr. Fix-It over here. He's somebody that you put in charge of things when things have gone badly. There was one of the portfolios, the police portfolio, that a minister wasn't handling very well. He was put in charge of that. He was put in charge of COVID-19 as well. So he's seen as a very capable pair of hands, and he's known to most New Zealanders. I mean, not to the extent that Jacinda Ardern was, but he's probably the next best thing after that because of his involvement with COVID-19 and fronting all sorts of press stand-ups during that time.
We spoke to Madeline Chapman. She's the biographer of Jacinda Ardern, a new kind of leader, and she said that she expects Chris Hipkins to actually continue this sort of empathetic, feel-good type leadership. Do you think he will?
To a degree. I think you can't out Jacinda Ardern. You need to really cut your own path. You need to be a new type of leader, because voters can see through that sort of thing. If you just try and imitate somebody else, you'll never be a good leader, because people will just think you're a fake. So in some ways, Chris Hipkins will have to be his own type of leader, and he will have to carve out his own path. He could try the empathy the empathy way that Jacinda Ardern did, but he's never going to do it as well as she did. Plus, at this point in the electoral cycle, people have lost patience with the Labour Party over here. They've been dipping in the polls, and even with Jacinda Ardern, her popularity was slipping. So Chris Hipkins, what he really needs to do is he needs to get Labour back up in the polls, and he needs to do that by looking at some of the policies that the Labour government have enacted and say, do we really need to do this, or should we cut it before the election so we become more electable?
Yeah, I was just looking at the polls here, and Labour's at, I think the recent polling showed that Labour was at 32%, the Nationals at 37%. Do you think Hipkins would be able to turn things around, those numbers around? And he doesn't have much time, really, to do that.
No, he doesn't. Not a lot of time at all. And for years, the Labour Party wasn't really going up against a strong opposition over here. It was a party that was floundering, that kept changing its leader and was looking really shaky. But in the last year or so, the opposition's really got its act together. So they're not going up against a weak opposition. They're going up against a relatively strong opposition. And in New Zealand, there is a phrase that we like to band around that says that oppositions don't win elections, governments lose them. So he can keep things steady, but at the end of the day, if people have lost patience with the Labour Party, then they're going to put their votes in National, and it's a prospect that I think Chris Hipkins is thinking about very, very strongly at the moment.
There you go. I mean, it is also a very good tactics, and we have seen that happen in other political circles and groups as well, is that, just before the main election, the incumbent, resigns, and the next candidate actually takes over by default without going to an election. That gives that person a chance to build up rapport with the community, and when the election time comes, he's better known than the opposition. So there you are. Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to our daily India report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report, which brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has embarked on a 3-day visit to the island nations of the Maldives and Sri Lanka. He met Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih and Foreign Minister Abdullah Shahid and reviewed ongoing projects. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on January 18th called on Maldives President Ibrahim Mohammed Solih, and the two leaders jointly participated in the groundbreaking ceremony of the Hanimadhu International Airport project. Jaishankar is on a 3-day visit to the Maldives and Sri Lanka to further expand bilateral engagement with the two key maritime neighbours of India. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, Jaishankar said the initiation of the Hanimadhu International Airport development projects marks a historic milestone in the robust India-Maldives development partnership. Jaishankar tweeted, joined President Ibu Solih and his ministers and local leaders at the groundbreaking ceremony of Hanimadhu International Airport Development Project. At the ceremony, attended by a broad spectrum of members of parliament and representatives from the atoll councils in the Maldives, Jaishankar said this project will bridge the gap between the people of northern Maldives and the rest of the world and bring our peoples together. And India is privileged to be with the Maldives for its implementation. Jaishankar said better connectivity is a prerequisite for greater prosperity, and with this rationale, greater connectivity finds resonance in India's theme for the G20 presidency, One Earth, One Family, One Future. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has underlined the strong partnership India has with the Maldives and said that the two countries together have responsibility for peace and security in the region. Earlier, Jaishankar also held discussions with his Maldives counterpart Abdullah Shahid and jointly reviewed ongoing projects. The two sides signed and exchanged MOUs, which includes an additional grant of 100 million rupees for high-impact community development projects in the Maldives. India has once again stressed that reforms of the multilateral institutions at the United Nations is an urgent imperative, and it should give voice to the developing world. India stressed on reforms of the multilateral institutions at the United Nations during an informal meeting of the United Nations General Assembly. Noting that the reform of the multilateral institutions is an urgent imperative, India said that these should focus on giving voice to the concerns of the developing world while reflecting the realities of the 21st century. Speaking at the UN briefing, India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ruchira Kamboj, said that India remains concerned about the increasing fragmentation of the international landscape. She also said, as the chair of the G20, India will continue to engage proactively with the global South, refactoring the priorities of the South into the G20 process. Kamboj said that the world has been perhaps witnessing the most difficult phase since the Second World War, and it is not an exaggeration but a reality. She said that the road ahead is challenging and urged the member countries to work collectively in a collaborative manner to find sustainable solutions to the development challenges. A long 4-year wait by the Indian diaspora was over as the Government of India and the State Government of Madhya Pradesh laid out a red carpet to physically host the 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas in January 2023. PBD 2023 presented a great opportunity for the Indian diaspora to physically visit the motherland. The Indian government was also eager to interact directly with the diaspora after a long wait. Diaspora members contributed wholeheartedly during the fight against COVID-19 pandemic, whether in their country of residence or by sending aid to their motherland. The emotional connect with their motherland brought them back to India as soon as the opportunity presented itself in the form of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. PIO Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a unique and largest of its kind platform that conjugates the Indian diaspora amongst themselves and with the central, state governments and businesses in India. PIO CCI Secretary from the UK, Dr. Rajiv Gupta, interacted with PIO TV on his connect with the motherland.
You can see that emotional capital is missing. So that brings me back to India. It gives me that help, the connection, the attitude, the sense of comfort, the ability to really feel myself. And I feel that, as it was said this morning, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that life is there for us, in us, with us.
Assembly poll dates for the Indian states of Meghalaya, Nagaland and Tripura have been announced. The voting will take place on February 16th and 27th, and the vote counting will be done on March 2. The Election Commission of India has announced a schedule for assembly elections in the 3 northeast Indian states of Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland. All the constituencies of Tripura will vote in a single phase on February 16th. Meghalaya and Nagaland will vote on February 27th. Votes will be counted in all 3 states on March 2. The tenures of the 3 assemblies with 60 seats each end on March 12th, 15th and 22nd respectively. Last week, Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar and Election Commissioners Anup Chandra Pandey and Arun Goyal visited the 3 northeastern states to review the poll preparations. The poll schedule of the 3 states was chalked out, keeping in mind education, board examinations and the movement of security forces. The BJP is in power in Tripura and a part of the ruling coalition with the National Democratic Progressive Party, NDPP in Nagaland and with the National People's Party in Meghalaya. A total of 62.8 lakh voters will cast their vote in the 3 states, with around 2.8 lakh new voters added to the list. Well, the newly created Bharat Rashtra Samiti party by Telangana State Chief Minister has set a lofty agenda and asked all opposition parties to come together to dislodge the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party during the 2024 national polls. The newly formed Bharat Rashtra Samiti, led by Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao, held its first mega rally on January 18th and made a clarion call for a regime change at the centre. Attended by prominent opposition leaders, Rao urged all opposition parties to come together and dislodge the BJP in the 2024 Lok Sabha polls. He said that if the BRS proposed government comes to power, the Modi government's initiative like the LIC disinvestment and the Agnipath scheme for recruitment in the armed forces would be scrapped. He also said that welfare measures in Telangana like the Raitu Bandhu for farmers would be implemented across the nation. Rao said, "I am directly telling Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, your policy is privatization, our policy is nationalization." The mega public meeting was the first after Telangana Rashtra Samiti recently rechristened itself as BRS and saw the participation of an estimated 2 lakh people. By bringing in several leaders in a show of strength against the Saffron Party, the BRS has taken the first steps towards joining forces with like-minded parties at the national level. India narrowly defeated New Zealand by 12 runs in Hyderabad, powered by a double century by opener Shubman Gill. Shubman Gill slammed a maiden ODI double century in Hyderabad on January 18th, leading India to a 12 runs victory over the visiting New Zealand to go 1-0 up in the 3-match series. Gill blazed his way to 208 off 149 balls with the help of 19 boundaries and 9 sixes as India posted an imposing 349 for 8 after opting to bat. Along with skipper Rohit Sharma, who scored 34, Gill shared 60 runs stand for the opening wicket. On the way to his double ton, Gill broke former Indian captain Virat Kohli's record of the fastest 1,000 ODI runs. The previous record was held by Virat Kohli and Shikhar Dhawan. Both the Indian stars scored 1,000 runs in 24 innings. In reply, all-rounders Michael Bracewell and Mitchell Santner almost foiled India's party with their stunning knocks. New Zealand got off to a slow start and lost half their side inside 25 overs. But then a solid partnership between Bracewell and Santner kept New Zealand in the hunt. The pair added 162 runs for the 7th wicket, with Santner chipping with a 45 ball 57. Despite losing his partner, Bracewell kept things moving for New Zealand and brought the game to the final over, where they needed 20 runs off 6 balls with 1 wicket in hand. Bracewell hit a 6 off the first ball but was trapped LBW on the second ball by Shardul Thakur in the final over. Bracewell scored 140 off 78 balls, scoring the 3rd fastest ODI century for New Zealand behind Corey Anderson, 36 balls, and Jesse Ryder, 46 balls. He also became the 2nd batter in the history of ODI cricket to score multiple hundreds batting at number 7 or below after MS Dhoni. The trailer of Jackie Shroff's Tamil film Quotation Gang has been released. The trailer also sees Priyamani and Sunny Leone in pivotal roles. Famous Bollywood star Jackie Shroff, popularly known as Jaggu Dada in the industry, is back with the Gangwa film. The Tamil film is titled Quotation Gang and the producers have released the trailer of the film. The film also stars actress Sunny Leone in a never-seen avatar. The trailer has many scenes of a gang war which will leave one stunned. The dialogues in the trailer of Quotation Gang are being liked by the audience. The plot of this movie is based on gang war and action. Drama and suspense can also be seen in the trailer. The film is based on the story of different gangs spread across the Indian cities of Mumbai and Chennai beside Kashmir. The Family Man fame actress Priyamani is also seen in this trailer. In the trailer, Sunny's dialogue, "Ek gang leader hi dusre gang leader ko maar sakta hai," can be heard. The trailer of the crime thriller film Quotation Gang is being appreciated by the netizens. Sunny Leone has shared the trailer on social media. She wrote in the caption, "Welcome to the world of Quotation Gang." Quotation Gang is directed by Vivek Kumar Kannan. He is also the producer of this film. It will be released in Hindi and Tamil. The filmmakers have also decided to release the film in Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam languages. That's all for this bulletin of the Daily India Report.
And thank you very much, Chandrakala, for that very well presented report. And ladies and gentlemen, right now, let's see if we can get something else.
one more time. Ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you today. But as mentioned before, I'd like to talk to you about the grand celebration of the 6th Sthapna Divas of Vishnu Maya Mandir. It's happening tomorrow from 5 p.m. onwards, and it's a wonderful program. There will be felicitation of community workers and also a very beautiful bhajan group led by Parth, Kush, Asutosh. They will all be there for the bhajan section. It will be very wonderful. So we now hope to see you all there tomorrow from 5 p.m. onwards. So ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to say goodbye from the section today. It's been wonderful having your company as usual. Well, it's gone up to 28 degrees now and a little bit of cloud hanging around there, but it's still a pretty good day out here in Brisbane. Until Monday, it's goodbye from us.